The gurney slams the trauma bay doors and the monitors start screaming sharp, urgent, unforgiving. I press 2 fingers to the cop's neck and feel nothing but sweat and time. He needs a heart, the surgeon says, voice flat like a verdict. Across the hall, the shooter's chest still rises, barely tagged as our only match. And then his wife arrives, sees the name, and whispers, not from him. The automatic doors breathe me into the like a living thing, cold air. Burnt coffee, antiseptic sharp enough to sting the back of my throat. My badge taps my sternum with each step, a tiny metronome reminding me that time doesn't care who you are. The board is full. The waiting room is a low, constant murmur, and the trauma pager is the only honest sound in the building. It goes off at 2:11, officer down, GSW to the chest. CPR in progress. 8 of 4 minutes. 4 minutes is both nothing and everything. I'm already walking before the charge nurse finishes repeating the call. In trauma, we pull gloves like skiing, snap plastic aprons into place, and set the room the way you set a stage for a tragedy you've seen too many times. The ventilator hums awake. The ultrasound rolls in, screen dark like an unblinking eye. A respiratory therapist primes the airway laryngoscope, tubes. Suction while someone checks the crash cart drawers, the way a gambler checks a deck. I take my place at the foot of the bed, not because it's a position of power, but because it's where I can see everyone's hands. Who's on airway? I ask. Me, says Maya, RRT, already tying her hair back tighter. Procedure nurse. Here, Nicole answers, opening an IO kit with the calm of someone unwrapping cutlery. I look at the monitor. It's still empty, waiting for a story to tell. The doors burst open on the sound of wheels hitting the threshold hard, fast. Paramedics push a stretcher like they're trying to outrun the bullet itself. The patient is young enough that my brain has to correct for the uniform, early 30s, maybe. His shirt is cut open. Blood has dried in thick, dark crescents under his ribs, and there's fresh red foaming at the wound whenever the bag valve mask compresses his chest. Name, I shout over the chaos. Officer Daniel Keene, the medic yells, singled you les collapsés en route. We got lost, you made it again. 2 rounds, epi, started compressions 8 minutes ago. He was talking at the scene then, he wasn't talking at the scene. That detail lands, heavy because it means there was a moment when this man thought he might live. Slide him over, I say, and 6 sets of hands move like one organism. Chest compressions resume, sternum down, recoil up, rhythm brutal and precise. Maya seals, a mask to his face, and squeezes air into lungs that don't seem interested in holding it. I feel heat rising under the fluorescent lights, trapped by gowns, trapped by urgency. Pulse check. My fingers find nothing but my own tremor. Keep going. My voice comes out steadier than I feel. Nicole drills the IO into his tibia, an ugly crunch you never forget. Someone tapes it down. Epi goes zing. I count in my head without meaning to. The way you count prayers when you don't believe in God, but you believe in patterns. Let's intubate on the next pause, I say. Maya nods. She's already watching his jaw, his neck, the angle of the airway as if she can see the tube's path before it exists. Hold compressions. The silence in that half second is horrifying, like the room itself is holding its breath. Maya slides the laryngoscope in, lifts, and her eyes narrow. Chords visualized. She passes the tube. I watch it disappear, watch her hands steady while the rest of us are vibrating. She inflates the cuff. We attach the bag, tube fogging. Good chest rise, she says. And then, softer, because she's human, come on, man. We secure the tube. Compressions restart. The monitor finally decides to speak wide complexes. A rhythm that looks like hope but acts like a liar. Ultrasound, I ask. The probe is cold against his ribs. On the screen, the heart is a frantic flutter trapped in darkness. The pericardial space looks wrong. There's fluid where there shouldn't be. A tamponade? Maybe. Blood compressing his heart from the outside, suffocating it without touching his lungs. Trauma surgery. I call. Now, as if I summoned him from the air itself, Dr. Harrow appears at my shoulder, our trauma attending, sleeves already rolled, eyes already calculating. He glances once at the wound, once at the ultrasound, and his jaw tightens. This is going to be a thoracotomy if he doesn't come back, he says. Thoracotomy, cutting the chest open in the It's a word that smells like metal and lost sleep. Do it, I say before I can think about what it means. Because thinking is a luxury and Daniel Keene doesn't have time. We crack the kit. Scalpel, rib spreader, suction. His wife arrives during the prep as if the universe timed it for maximum damage. Security tries to stop her, but grief turns people into something stronger than rules. She's barefoot in one sock, hair tangled, face wet and furious, and her eyes go straight to the uniform. That's my husband, she says. Not a question, a claim like she can anchor him to this world by naming him. I step toward her, gloved hands held up, not touching. Ma'am, I'm Dr. Reyes. We're doing everything we can. Right now, we need... Her gaze flicks to the blood, the compressions, the tube. The stranger's touching him, and something in her breaks again. He went to work, she whispers. He kissed our son. He said he'd be back before breakfast. I don't tell her that breakfast is a concept, not a guarantee. Who did this? She asks, voice sharpening through tears. One of the paramedics answers without thinking because the scene is still clinging to him like smoke. Shooters in the other bay. Suspect got hit in the exchange. Looks bad. Her head snaps toward the hallway. I can almost see the chain of images forming behind her eyes. A face, a gun, a moment. She grabs my sleeve with fingers that are cold as for saline. Don't you dare save him, she says. The words are so raw, I feel them under my skin. In a different building, in a different life, maybe that sentence would be simple. Here, it's a grenade with the pin halfway out. I'm going to take care of whoever is in front of me. I say carefully, because anything else would be a lie. She stares at me like I've betrayed her already. Harrow leans close to my ear. We're losing him, he says. If the heart's shredded, we're done. If it's tamponade, we might buy him time. But either way, he's not leaving this room without surgery. And the shooter? I ask, because my mind is already trying to map a future it doesn't want to face. Harrow's eyes flick. The smallest movement. Cardiac injury, 2. They're working him in trauma 2. Blood type came back. HLA prelim is ridiculous. He's a match for Keene. The sentence hangs there, impossible and clinical at the same time. A match. I repeat, and my stomach turns not because I don't understand the medicine, but because I do. Somewhere above us, the hospital is running on policy and oxygen and paperwork. Somewhere deeper, it's running on the stubborn fact that biology doesn't recognize morality. A heart is a pump. A donor is a body. A recipient is a person. And all of it is wrapped in law and consent and the fragile trust that keeps strangers from tearing this system apart. I look at Daniel's face pale, lashes dark against his cheeks, a man who can't consent to anything right now. I look at his wife standing at the edge of the trauma bay like she's being forced to watch her own life drown. Pulse check. Nicole calls. I press again. This time, there's a thready beat, weak but present, like a hand squeezing back from underwater. Rosk. I say relief doesn't come. It never does if shape. Maya adjusts the ventilator settings. The monitor beeps with mechanical indifference. Harrow orders blood massive transfusion protocol and we push O negative like we're pouring life into cracked vessel. A resident runs in with a clipboard, eyes wide. CT is ready if he's stable enough. Stable, I echo, and the word feels like a joke. He's balanced on a knife edge, And we're calling it stability because we need language that makes us feel in control. His wife steps closer, voice smaller now. Is he going to live? I open my mouth, but what comes out isn't an answer. It's a promise shaped like a question. We're going to fight for him. Her eyes search mine, desperate for certainty I can't manufacture. Out in the hallway, I hear someone call. Trauma 2 is crashing. The shooter, the only match. The only heart that could fit into Daniel's chest like it belonged there. And now, time is asking me the question it always asks in this place. Who do you save first? And what part of you dies when you choose? The call from Trauma 2 hits the hallway like a thrown object. Trauma 2 is crashing. It's not just volume, it's the pitch. The kind that flattens every other sound into background static. I step out of Trauma 1 and the smell changes immediately. Less antiseptic. More hot plastic and iron, like pennies rubbed between fingers. The corridor is a river of scrubs and stretchers. Everyone moving fast, but pretending it's controlled. Aci Trauma 2 is strapped down. Shirt your waistcoat gray with sweat. He can't be older than 25. There's blood on his lips that looks almost black under the lights. He's intubated too, ventilator pushing air into lungs that resist it like they're offended by the effort. A resident meets my eyes. BP's tanking. We can't keep up. He's got a penetrating injury, likely cardiac. Fast is positive. Positive fluid where it shouldn't be. Blood, almost certainly. I glance at the monitor. Tachi, then Brady, then a rhythm that can't decide whether it wants to be alive. Any ID? I ask. The nurse holds up a plastic bag with a wallet and a driver's license. I catch the name, the photo. A kid's face, trying to look older. Eyes too confident for someone whose life is leaking onto our floor. Any donor registry. Someone says behind me. The question lands wrong in my body like it's early, like it's predatory, like it's necessary. That's the sick truth. In a hospital, timing is everything. And death is never polite enough to wait until the paperwork feels comfortable. I look at the charge nurse. Call the OPO, I say, and the words taste like rust. Not for procurement, just get them aware. We're not making assumptions. She nods, already dialing. In the US, you don't get to freelance organ donation. There are rules, systems, protocols, ethics. There's a reason it's built like that, because if we let feelings steer, we would all crash. But feelings are here anyway. Back in Trauma 1, Daniel Keene's pressure is still barely holding. He's on pressors now, norepinephrine dripping like liquid willpower into his veins. His chest rises and falls in a rhythm that belongs to a machine. His heart is beating, but it's a compromised beat, the kind that can turn into nothing if you blink too long. His wife Emily stands by the doorway, arms wrapped around herself, knuckles white. She keeps looking down at his left hand. There's a ring there. It glints when the monitor flashes. Like a small, stubborn lighthouse. Ma'am, I say softly, stepping close enough that she can hear me without feeling cornered. I need to ask you something difficult. She doesn't answer. She just watches my mouth, like she's bracing for impact. The other patient, I say, the shooter, he's very close to dying. Her face hardens, jaw tight like she's holding her teeth in place. Good. The word is a blade. Not because it's cruel, because it's honest. I keep my voice level. He may be the only compatible donor match for your husband. Her eyes narrow. No, not a sentence. A door slammed. We're not talking about him as a person right now, I say. Hating myself for how clinical it sounds, because it does violence to her grief. We're talking about physiology. Daniel's heart is failing. Even if we control the bleeding, he may not survive without a transplant. Emily shakes her head hard, as if she can shake the idea out of the air. You want to put that. She can't finish. Her throat closes around the word him. You want to put his heart Inside my husband. The way she says inside makes it sound like contamination. I hear a thought aren't want to have that she's not wrong. Not emotionally. Not spiritually. Not in any way that a policy manual can cure. But my job isn't to cure it meaning. My job is to keep bodies alive long enough that meaning still has a place to sit. Emily, I say, and I use her name because I need her to feel I'm here, not floating above her. If your husband becomes a candidate for transplant, the transplant team will explain the risks and the process. You can refuse. That's your right as his surrogate if he can't speak for himself. She exhales sharply, like the air is burning. Then I'm refusing. Behind her, Harrow appears again, eyes sharp, voice low. Reyes, we can't keep him stable. Keene's cardiac function is garbage. We patch the hole. We drain the tamponade. We buy hours, maybe a day. But the myocardium's been insulted. If he's not listed, he's done. You're saying we need to activate transplant now. I'm saying we need to at least notify the transplant coordinator. Harrow answers. Let them decide candidacy. Let them start the process. Because if we wait until he's circling the drain, it's too late, and then the pager goes again. Trauma 2, P arrest. P pulseless electrical activity. A crew joked. The monitor rhythm, the body docente produce a pulsi. Like a song with no sound. I move, fast, through the hole again. In trauma 2 come happening. A nurse straddling the stretcher, pushing down with the kind of force that feels like anger, even when it's love. Someone shouts doses epi, calcium, bicarb trying to bully the heart back into being a heart. Any response? I ask. None. The resident says, voice cracking, no pulse. No cardiac activity on ultrasound. No cardiac activity. That's a line you don't cross lightly. On the screen, the heart looks like collapse 10. And still the ventilator pushes air. The monitor shows something. The body is warm. It's the worst kind of limbo. Close enough to life to haunt you. Close enough to death to change everything. The OPO coordinator arrives, like a ghost in a blazer, calm in a way that only people who live alongside death every day can be. She doesn't rush into the room. She waits at the threshold, eyes scanning, listening, letting the clinicians do their work. Status, she asks. Quiet. GSW. Arrest. Likely non-survivable. I say my mouth is dry. We have a potential recipient next door. Police officer. Critically ill. Preliminary met, she nods once behind her eyes. She's not thinking about hero stories. She's thinking about legal authorization, medical suitability, organ viability windows. Whether the donor had registered, whether the family will object, whether the hospital can ethically manage the optics of this without poisoning public trust. Harrow steps in beside me. We're not harvesting anything, he says, blunt. We're trying to save our patient. But the reality is the reality. The coordinator looks at the resident doing compressions. Has brain death been declared? She asks. No. I answer immediately. He's in arrest. We're working him. No declaration. She nods again. Then we're early. If there is any donation path, it will depend on what happens next clinically and legally. The resident looks up, sweat running into his eyebrows. We've been down 8 minutes. 8 minutes is an ocean. Continue CPR, I say, though part of me knows I'm saying it for the room as much as for the patient. Let's get another ultrasound. Check for reversible causes. The probe slides over the chest. Still nothing. A stillness so complete it feels like the room is failing. Time of death. The resident asks, voice small. My stomach twists. I glance at the clock. I think of Daniel next door. I think of Emily's face. I think of a heart that is about to become an argument. Time of death, I say, and I give it. The resident's hands stop. The ventilator is disconnected. The room changes temperature in an instant. Not physically, emotionally. Like someone opened a window to winter, and then it begins the second kind of resuscitation. The coordinator steps forward. Careful. We need to check registry status, she says. If there's first-person authorization, we honor it. If not, we approach next of kin. Either way, this needs to be handled with transparency. No shortcuts. Next of kin, the nurse murmurs, looking at the ID again. Who's his next of kin? His mother, the resident says. Phone number's in the wallet. A mother? Of course, there's always a mother. Backing trauma on Daniel's monitor hiccups CS. Runs of fu that dissolve and return like waves. His blood pressure dips, then surges with another pressure adjustment. His skin is mottled now, fingertips cool. The body's small ways of telling the truth. Emily watches, the numbers with the desperate intensity of someone trying to learn a foreign language in real time. When she sees my face, she knows something happened. He's dead, she says. Not asking, I nod. She closes her eyes, and for a second I think she might collapse. But she doesn't. She stands taller, as if death has given her something solid to lean against. So it's over, she whispers. It might be, I say carefully. But there are processes. Consent, evaluation, timing. I need you to understand something. If Daniel becomes eligible and the heart becomes available, the team will ask for a decision, and it will be fast. Emily opens her eyes. They are red, but they're clear. He tried to kill my husband, she says, each word like a nail. If my husband lives because of him, then he wins. He gets to stay. In Daniel, forever. No, I say, and the intensity surprises me. If Daniel lives, Daniel wins. Your son wins. You win. Biology doesn't carry guilt. Her lips tremble. She wants to believe me. I can see it. And she hates me for making it sound simple when a world is burning. Harrow interrupts, voice urgent. Rhea skeins, crashing. I turn to the bed. The rhythm on the monitor is spiraling into chaos. Maya's hand is on the ventilator, adjusting. Nicole is already drawing up Amy O'Doroni. Shock him, Harrow orders. The defibrillator pads are cold against Daniel's chest. And when the shock hits, his body jumps a puppet tugged by electricity. The monitor flattens, then crawls into a rhythm again. Come back, I mutter, not realizing I've spoken out loud. Emily clutches the bedrail. Daniel, she says, as if he can hear her through sedation and trauma and machines. Daniel, please. His pressure returns, briefly. A weak pulse appears under my fingers again, like a candle flame refusing to go out. Harrow meets my eyes over the bed. We don't have hours, he says. We have minutes. The coordinator appears at the doorway, face composed but eyes grave. Registry check is pending, she says. But if there is authorization, we can proceed to evaluation quickly. If there isn't, we need family consent and we need to do it right. Emily hears only the parts that sound like betrayal. You're going to ask his mother, she says. Her voice is low, almost calm. You're going to ask her to give you the thing he used to try to take. I swallow. Yes. She shakes her head, tears spilling again. Then ask me why, she says. Ask me why I don't want it. I look at Daniel, at the line of his jaw, the stubble, the little scar under his chin that could be from a childhood fall. A whole life in small marks. Then I look at Emily, and I realize the crisis isn't the medical one. Not really. The crisis is this. The hospital is about to ask a woman to accept that salvation can come wrapped in the skin of her nightmare. And I, standing between a dying man and a heart that might save him, have to decide. What kind of truth I'm willing to tell to keep them both from breaking. The transplant coordinator doesn't step into trauma one like she owns the room. She steps in like someone entering a church during a funeral, quiet feet, eyes lowered, hands empty. Her badge swings once and settles, the only thing about her that looks alive. "Dr. Reyes," she asks. I nod, because my throat feels packed with gauze. Behind her, Harrow is already scrubbing blood from his forearms, streaks of red disappearing into clear water like it was never there. Daniel's chest rises on the ventilator with a rhythm that isn't his. The monitor keeps beeping like a lie we've agreed to believe for now. Emily is still here. She hasn't left the doorway. She looks like she's afraid that if she takes a step back, the universe will take him too. The coordinator opens a folder paper inside plastic inside policy. The hospital's way of turning catastrophe into something that can be tracked. "We got the registry status," she says, and everyone in the room goes still. The deceased patient, he was a registered donor. Emily's eyes widen in a way that isn't surprise. It's disgust. Like the world just proved it has no morals. "So that's it." She snuffnaps. "Because he checked a box at the DMV. You get two. You get to cut him up and put him in my husband." The coordinator's voice stays even. "If someone registers, that's considered legally valid authorization in many states. Families can object, and we take their grief seriously, but the intent of the law is to honor the donor's decision." Emily takes a step toward her, and I see her hands clench. "Then where do I fit? Where does my husband fit? He didn't consent to carrying that man." I feel the words hit me like a needle. He didn't consent. And she's right in the way that matters most. Daniel is sedated, ventilated, half anchored to this world by drips and wires and our stubbornness. He can't say yes. He can't say no. He can't tell us what he would want when the only heart on the table belongs to the man who put him on it. I pull the curtain slightly, an instinctive attempt to create privacy in a room that is none. The beeping doesn't soften. The fluorescent lights don't dim. The smell of antiseptic doesn't stop burning. "Emily," I say, keeping my tone low, "I need you to hear me. This isn't a simple yes or no transplant question. Your husband has to be a candidate. The transplant surgeon has to accept the organ. There are medical criteria, cross-match results, organ function, and what about criteria for human decency?" She spits back. Harrow shifts, and I can tell he wants to cut through the emotion with a scalpel of facts, because that's how he survives. But he holds it back. For once, the coordinator speaks again. "There's another element. Even if you refuse, if Daniel is in imminent danger and can't decide, physicians can act under emergency exceptions for life-saving care. Transplant is different because it's not just his body, it's a donor. It's a system, it's consent and allocation." Emily's laugh is sharp and broken. "So you're saying you can save him without me? You're saying my no is just noise?" "No," I answer quickly, and I hate how defensive it sounds. "I'm saying your voice matters. But we're balancing it against a donor's documented decision and your husband's chance to live." She looks at Daniel's face, then at his chest. The defib pads are still there, like bruises waiting to happen again. "If he takes that heart," she whispers, "and he wakes up, and he finds out, he'll hate me, he'll hate himself, he'll feel dirty." I want to say that survival isn't dirty, that there's no shame in accepting a heart that would otherwise rot in the ground, but the words don't land here, not in this moment. Not with her. I step closer to the bed. I watch the arterial line tracing peaks and valleys that tell a story of struggle. Daniel's pressure dips again, like the body is reminding us it doesn't care about arguments. Nicole leans toward me, voice barely audible. "Doc," his lactate's climbing. "Kidneys are taking a hit, multi-organ strain." The clock is not a clock anymore, it's a blade. Maya adjusts the ventilator and leans toward Harrow. He's getting stiffer. Compliance is worse. Harrow's eyes flick to the monitor. "We can't keep him like this," he says. "He needs OR, and he needs a plan." Now, the coordinator turns to me. "If we proceed, we need a recipient acceptance and the transplant team mobilized. The organ is viable for only so long, and we need to ensure the donor's management is appropriate. He's deceased. But the organs need perfusion until procurement." Emily hears the word procurement and flinches like she's been slapped. "Stop saying it like it's a supply run," she says, voice cracking. "That man murdered something in my house today. He murdered breakfast. He murdered bedtime stories. He murdered the way my son will look at a uniform." Silence. The kind that makes the monitor's beeping obscene. I take a breath through my nose. Antiseptic, coffee, blood. My own sweat sour under the gown. "Emily," I say, "tell me what you're afraid of, specifically. Not what you hate. What you're afraid of." She stares at the floor for a long time. "Then, like a confession," she says, "I'm afraid that if I say yes, I'm forgiving him." Her voice shakes on the last word. Like forgiveness is something that could poison her from the inside. I shake my head slowly. Accepting an organ isn't forgiveness. I tell her, it's survival. Forgiveness is something you decide later, maybe never. This is medicine. And what if Daniel wouldn't want it? She asks, suddenly fierce again. What if he'd rather die than carry him? That's the core of it. Not ethics in the abstract. A marriage question. A question about identity. I glance at Harrow. Do we have any prior expressed wishes? Any donor card? Any advance directive? Any conversation documented? Emily's eyes flicker. We talked, she says. After that accident last year when his partner died, Daniel said. He said if something happened, he wanted to donate. He said bodies are just, she swallows. He said bodies are just vessels when the person is gone. The words hang in the air, almost unbearable in their irony. So, he believed in donation. I say gently, yes, she whispers. But not like this. The coordinator clears her throat softly, almost apologetic for existing. There's also the matter of transparency, she says. We generally do not disclose donor identity to recipients, and recipients don't choose donors. Allocation is designed to prevent exactly this kind of bias. Emily's eyes snap up. So you're going to lie to him? No, I say, to fast, not lie, protect privacy. But my voice falters, because I can already see how this story ends if it ends with secrecy. Secrets metastasize. They don't heal. Harrow steps forward. His voice is controlled, but it's not cold. Reyes, he says. If we don't move, he's going to arrest again. And next chimney we want Amidef's a little. Like her body finally believes what her mind has been refusing. So it's me, she says. It's on me. I hate that she's right. We love to talk about ethics like it lives in committees and policies and conferences. But in the middle of the night, it lands in the lap of a woman in one sock, with dried tears on her cheeks, being asked to decide what kind of pain she can live with. I step closer to her. Not touching, just close enough that she can see my eyes. This isn't you choosing the shooter, I say. This is you choosing Daniel. Emily's mouth opens, but no sound comes out. Then her gaze drops to Daniel's ring again, the same glint, stubborn, small. She whispers, if he lives, and he asks me. I can't look at him and say I killed him out of hate. Her eyes meet mine. But I also can't look at my son and tell him the man who tried to take his father got to give him back. The coordinator speaks into the silence like a final page turning. There's one more fact, she says. If Daniel isn't transplanted with this organ, there may not be another in time. Harrow doesn't add anything. He doesn't need to. The monitor keeps beeping the sentence for him. Emily closes her eyes. She presses her forehead to the doorframe for a second like she's trying to hold herself upright against the architecture of the hospital. When she opens them again, her face is different. Not calmer, just decided. "Tell me the truth," she says. "If it were you, if it was your spouse, what would you do?" The question is a trap and a prayer at the same time. And I realize the dilemma isn't just whether we can ethically put the killer's heart into the victim. The dilemma is whether I'm willing to put my own humanity on the line, whether I'm willing to say something that could haunt me because a woman needs a bridge between hate and survival, and she doesn't have time to build it alone. Emily's question hangs between us like a wire pulled tight. If it were you, if it was your spouse, what would you do? For a second, the whole trauma bay feels too small for the answer. The ventilator exhales. The monitor chirps. Somewhere down the hall, a stretcher squeals on old wheels, a sound so normal it feels obscene in this moment. I don't look at Harrow. I don't look at the coordinator. I look at Daniel, keen at the faint twitch of his eyelid under sedation tape. The line of his jaw clenching and unclenching as if his body is fighting even in sleep. Then I look back at Emily. I would choose my spouse, I say. My voice is quiet, but it doesn't shake. And I would let the hate come later because hate can survive. Your husband might not. Emily's lips part. A sound comes out that isn't a word. A small, involuntary sob she tries to swallow back like it's weakness. She shakes her head once, as if arguing with gravity. The coordinator steps forward just enough to be heard. "We can proceed with recipient evaluation and organ acceptance," she says. "But we need a decision about whether you're willing to allow him to be listed and to accept the organ if it's offered." Emily stares at the floor. Her hands hover over her stomach, fingers trembling, as if she's holding something fragile inside her that might drop and shatter. Then Daniel's monitor changes. It's not dramatic at first, just a stutter in the waveform, a tightening of the numbers. The arterial line tracing shrinks, peaks becoming little teeth. His blood pressure slides. 92, 78, 61. Nicole's voice slices through the room. He's dropping. Maya reaches for the ventilator, her eyes flicking between tidal volume and pressures. Peak pressures are up, he's stiffening. Harrow is already at the bedside. More levo. "Start vaso," he orders. I watch the pressure pumps, like as Moss, norepinephrine vasopressin guarantee. "Pulse check," I say, and my fingers find a pulse that feels like a rumor. "Sinus Brady, now wide," Nicole says. He's going into VT. The monitor becomes a jagged fence. A rhythm to fast, to chaotic to perfuse. Charge. Harrow snaps. The defibrillator whines as it charges, that rising electronic keening like a warning siren. Emily steps forward on instinct, reaching for Daniel's hand. "Daniel, ma'am, back," I say gently but firmly, guiding her by the shoulder, without thinking about consent because we don't have time for perfect manners in a burning house. "Clear," Harrow calls. The shock hits. Daniel's body jerks against the bed, a violent reminder that electricity can mimic life. For a fraction of a second, the monitor flatlines. Emily makes a sound that I feel in my teeth. Then the rhythm crawls back slow, ugly, barely organized. "Our OSC?" Nicole asks, hopeful and terrified. "Not yet," I say, and we move again, compression starting. Hands replacing the heart's work with muscle and rhythm and refusal. The room tightens around the bed. A choreography we've practiced until it feels like memory. Compressions, airway, meds, rhythm check. Epinephrine goes in amiodarone. Another shock. On the second shock, the rhythm flips briefly. It looks better for 2 breaths. Then it collapses again, like the heart is tired of pretending. Harrow's voice drops to a growl. He's done without a new heart. There it is. The truth without poetry. The truth without softness. I turn to the coordinator, my voice low. How fast can we move if she agrees? Fast, she answers. But it's still a chain. Acceptance, OR coordination, donor management, procurement. Transport to the recipient OR. If not in the same center, we're in the same center. Harrow says sharply, we have the OR. We have the team. We just need the green light. Emily is watching compressions on her husband like she's watching someone pound on a locked door while a fire spreads behind it. Her face is wet, but the tears aren't dramatic anymore. They're automatic, like breathing. She looks at me again, and in her eyes, I see the moment where a person realizes there are no good choices, only choices you can live with. She points toward Daniel's chest, toward the hands pressing down, the bruises forming in real time. If I say yes, she whispers, and he lives, will he know? The coordinator answers before I can. Recipients generally aren't told who their donor is, she says. Privacy is protected for both sides. There can be anonymous letters later, through the proper channels. Emily's gaze hardens. Anonymous, she repeats, like it's another kind of violence. So my husband will carry it and never know, and I'll know, alone. I feel my stomach turn. Because she's right again. The system is built to protect. But sometimes protection feels like a lie wearing a badge. Daniel's monitor dips into P. No pulse. Electrical rhythm. No pressure behind it. A ghost of function. Start compressions. I order, though they never stopped. Give epi now. Nicole pushes the medication. Maya's hands move on autopilot, adjusting, suctioning, doing everything a person can do to keep air and blood where they're supposed to be. Emily's voice rises, not screaming, but cracking under the weight. Please. It's not a request anymore. It's a surrender. The coordinator steps closer, her tone gentle but urgent. Emily, we need your decision. Emily looks at Daniel's ring. Then she looks at his face still, taped, surrounded by strangers fighting for him like he belongs to all of us. She swallows. Her voice breaks. She tries again, forcing the words out like pushing a breath through a collapsing lung. I want him to live. It's not yes. It's not I accept. It's not any clean sentence a form would like. But it's the truth. The coordinator nods, already moving, already turning that sentence into action. Okay, she says. We'll proceed. Emily grabs my sleeve again, the same cold fingers. The same desperate grip, but now there's something else in it. Not trust, not peace, just permission. Don't let it make him someone else, she whispers. Promise me. I can't promise that. Not fully, not honestly. So I give her the only promise medicine can offer. I promise we'll bring him back to you. I say. The rest. We'll survive it together. Harrow barks orders into the hallway. Activate transplant. Call cardiothoracic. Get perfusion. We're going to OR as soon as we have a heart. The coordinator is already on the phone, voice crisp, words like keys turning in locks. The room explodes into movement, blood products arriving. Consent forms appearing like ghosts made of paper, nurses calling OR, anesthesia prepping drips. A resident running with a cooler that is still empty, an object made terrifying by its purpose. And then, like fate can't resist one last twist, the trauma bay doors open again. A uniformed detective steps in, eyes hard, rain still on his coat. He looks at Daniel. Then at Emily, then at the coordinator with the folder. What's happening? He demands. Emily's chin lifts, and for the first time tonight, she looks like someone who has made a decision and will bleed for it. You're not taking him from me, she says, voice steady now. Not him. The detective's gaze flicks to me. Doctor, he says, is that suspect's organ going into this officer? The question is a bullet made of words. It tears through the air, and makes every moral nerve in the room light up. The coordinator stiffens. We cannot discuss, but the detective isn't asking the coordinator. He's asking me, the one standing closest to the bed, the one with blood on his gloves and the weight of the choice on his face. In that split second, I understand this isn't only a medical crisis. It's a public one, a legal one, a trust one, a story that will either strengthen people's faith in medicine or rot it. Daniel's monitor beeps in thin, desperate numbers. The compressions continue. The clock keeps cutting. I look at Emily, and I decide what kind of doctor I'm willing to be. The detective's question sits in the air like gunpowder. Is that suspect's organ going into this officer? For a second, everyone freezes, not because we don't know what to do, but because we all know there's no way to do it without someone bleeding for it. The coordinator's jaw tightens. Harrow's eyes go flat, the way they do when he's one sentence away from saying something that will get him written up but won't be wrong. Daniel's chest is still being compressed. Hands, rhythm, bones giving. A human trying to become a heartbeat. Emily looks at me with a kind of terror that isn't fear of death anymore, it's fear of what living will cost. I step closer to the detective until I can smell the rain on his coat and the cheap cologne trying to cover it. I keep my voice calm, practiced, not cold, controlled. I can't discuss any donor or recipient details. I say, right now, we're treating a critically ill patient. He doesn't blink. The city is going to ask. I'm not the city, I answer. Harrow cuts in sharp. Detective, step out. You're interfering with care. The detective's gaze flicks to the compressions, to the blood, to the ventilator. Something in him softens, just a millimeter the part that still remembers that before there are stories, there are bodies. He takes one step back, then another, still watching. Still recording it in his mind the way investigators do, like truth is something you can hold if you grip hard enough. The coordinator is already on her phone again, voice low and fast. Recipient is accepted. OR is ready. Procurement team is mobilizing, she says, then pauses, listening, and her face shifts into something I don't like. Yes, we have a family objection risk. Documented donor authorization is confirmed. Emily hears only family objection, and her lips go pale. You mean his mother? She whispers. You mean she can stop it? The coordinator looks at her human, finally. She can try, she says. But if he authorized donation, the decision carries weight. Weight, a polite word for a battle. We roll Daniel toward the OR, with compression still going mechanical device now, thumping his chest with relentless indifference. The hallway lights smear overhead. The sound of the bed wheels becomes the loudest thing in the world, like the hospital itself is dragging him toward a verdict. Emily walks beside us, one hand on the railing as if touch alone can keep him tethered. She talks to him the whole way, not speeches. Not dramatic vows, just small things. I'm here. I'm right here. Come back. At the OR doors, the anesthesiologist meets us, eyes already scanning drips, airway, vitals. We're taking over, she says. Emily tries to follow, and a nurse gently blocks her, not harshly, just firmly, the way a door blocks wind. I need to go with him, Emily pleads. I know, the nurse says. But you can't. Not in there. Emily's hands curl into fists. Her breath is ragged. She looks at me, and in her eyes I see the moment she understands that once those doors close, she has no more leverage, no more control. Just hope and whatever she can live with afterward. If he dies, she says, voice low and deadly, it's because I hesitated. No, I tell her. If he dies, it's because this was bigger than any of us. You didn't pull a trigger. Her face crumples anyway, because logic is useless when grief is hungry. The doors swing shut. On the other side, the OR is cold enough to make my teeth ache. The surgical lights are brutal suns. The perfusionist is already priming the bypass machine tubes like veins. Clear fluid waiting to become the river that keeps a person alive while their heart is replaced. Harrow scrubs in, shoulders tense. Time, he mutters, not to anyone in particular. Well, we opened the nail, that makes me sick. Saw, through sternum. Retractors spread. The smell is metallic, intimate like standing too close to a secret. His native heart looks exhausted, bruised, angry. It beats with assistance, with drugs, with pressure, with our refusal to accept the word enough. The transplant surgeon arrives a different energy, quieter, precise, carrying the weight of other people's lives in his hands. He doesn't ask about the crime. Not now. In here, he only asks what matters to the body. Crossmatch? He says. Negative. Someone answers. The word hits like relief and dread at the same time. Immunologically compatible, biologically perfect, morally impossible. In another, or one we don't see the donor heart is. Being recovered under a choreography that honors the dead by saving the living. It is wrapped in sterile layers, placed in ice carried like a holy object through hallways that smell like disinfectant and regret. When it arrives, it's smaller than people imagine. A heart in a container. No thunder. No poetry. Just muscle that once belonged to someone who made a choice that will now define strangers. The transplant surgeon lifts it with gloved hands. For a moment, the room goes quiet, not from reverence, but from the primal awareness that we are crossing a line from which there is no return. Harrow looks at Daniel's open chest. "Let's do this," he says. They clamp, cut, remove. The moment Daniel's heart is separated from him, the room becomes an abyss. The bypass machine hums, doing the work of lungs and heart, keeping oxygen moving through a body that has every reason to quit. Then the new heart is sewn in anastomoses like careful stitches in fate. The surgeon's hands don't shake. Mine do, slightly, because I'm not just watching technique. I'm watching consequences. When they release the clamps, there's a pause that feels like the whole hospital is holding its breath. At first, nothing. The new heart sits there still, heavy, unwilling. "Come on," the perfusionist murmurs, almost superstition. The surgeon nods to anesthesia. Warm, calcium, epi. Medication enters the bloodstream like whispered bribes. And then an electric flicker, a twitch, a beat that looks like a question. Then another, then a rhythm. Not perfect, not strong, but real. The monitor changes its song. The line becomes organized. The OR's collective posture loosens by a fraction, like everyone just remembered they have shoulders. Harrow exhales, a sound that is half laugh, half sob he refuses to acknowledge. He's back, he says quietly. The surgeon keeps his eyes on the field. He's back, he repeats, as if saying it twice will keep it true. We close Daniel up with wires and sutures, leaving drains like little exits for the storm inside him. His skin is pale, his lips are still dry, but his chest rises with less desperation now. The numbers stabilize into something that resembles a future. In the ICU, when we roll him into his room, it's quieter than the trauma bay, but not kinder. The ventilator hisses softly, the 4 pumps click. The new heart's rhythm is steady enough to make me distrust it, like calm after a fight. Emily is waiting at the bedside, face swollen from crying, arms wrapped around herself like she's holding her own ribs together. When she sees Daniel, she doesn't rush him. She just stares, as if looking too hard might undo it. Is he? She starts. Odd. He made it through surgery. Her knees buckle slightly. The nurse catches her elbow, steadying her without making a big deal of it. Emily grabs the bedrail, and her knuckles go white again. "What now?" she whispers. Now we watch. I say, rejection, infection, bleeding. We keep him alive through the dangerous part. But he has a chance. Emily looks at Daniel's chest bandaged, wired, a map of violence and repair. Her voice is barely audible. Does it work? She asks, and she doesn't mean the rhythm. She means the meaning. She means whether a life saved by a nightmare can still be a life worth living. It's beating, I tell her. That's what I can promise you tonight. She nods slowly, tears falling again, not the same tears as before. These are quieter, heavier. From the hallway, I hear voices. The detective again, talking to someone in administration. Low, urgent. The world outside the ICU is already building its story. But inside, for this one room, the only story that matters is a woman sitting beside the bed of the man she almost lost, listening to a heart she didn't choose the way. She wanted to, and loving him anyway. I stand there for a moment longer than I should, watching the waveform rise and fall, and I realize something I hate. We didn't win. We just postponed the bill. And the bill is going to come due in daylight. I don't remember leaving the ICU. Only that at some point the hallway swallowed me and the adrenaline finally stopped doing its job. The hospital at dawn is a different species, quieter, but not peaceful. The lights are still fluorescent, just less accusatory. The coffee is still burnt, just colder. Somewhere a floor buffer whines like a distant ambulance, polishing yesterday's footprints into something that looks like cleanliness. I stand in the staff bathroom with my palms braced on the sink, watching water run over my knuckles until the pink disappears, and all that's left is the deep, stubborn creases in my skin. I scrub anyway. You can always tell who worked a real code by how long they keep washing after the blood is gone. When I go back to Daniel's room, Emily is asleep in the chair, spine curled like she's protecting something inside herself. Juan of the open on the sheet. The wedding ring catches the monitor light every few seconds, blinking in time with the new rhythm. The ventilator is quieter now. The numbers are steadier, but the comm feels borrowed. On the monitor, the heart is doing its only job, contracting, relaxing. Contracting again, an obedient muscle that doesn't know it has become a moral argument. That's the first cruelty of medicine. We turn love into physiology and pretend it's simpler than it is. The second cruelty is that physiology often works, even when the soul is not ready for it. Doctor? A nurse, in fresh scrubs, someone I haven't seen all night, stands at the door with a clipboard. Administration is asking for you when you can. Of course, they are. Daylight is when institutions wake up and remember they have reputations to protect. Daylight is when people who didn't feel the sternum crack under their hands start using words like protocol and risk management and media response. It's when tragedy becomes a case file. I step into the hall and find the transplant coordinator waiting near the elevator. Expression composed, but eyes tired in a way that tells me she's been in this exact scene 100 times and still hates it every time. They're already calling, she says softly. The detective, the chief, someone from the mayor's office. They want details we can't give. Will they get them anyway? I ask. She doesn't answer at first. Her silence does. You did the right thing, she says finally. And I almost laugh because there are nights when right is a word you use the way you use gauze. Not because it heals, but because it absorbs the mess. The shooter's mother. I ask. She came, the coordinator says. She screamed. She begged. She said we were stealing from her. Her throat tightens. Then she asked if he suffered. I feel that question hit me in a place I keep locked for survival. Did suffer? A mother asking it about a son who tried to murder another mother's husband. The universe refusing to stay tidy. What did you tell her? I ask. The truth, she says. That he died quickly after we couldn't bring him back. And that he had registered to donate. She looks away. She didn't know. A registered donor who never told his mother. A mother who never got to imagine this version of her son, the version that becomes a lifeline for the man he tried to end. My phone vibrates. Harrow's name. When I answer, his voice is low, impatient, already moving to the next fire. Keen, stable. For now, Echo looks decent. It's a good heart. A good heart. I repeat, and the words feel contaminated by the fact that I know where it came from. Harrow exhales. Don't do that, he says, like he can hear my thoughts. Don't romanticize it. Tissue is tissue. He's alive. That's what matters, does it? I ask before I can stop myself. There's a pause on the line. Harrow doesn't like pauses. Pauses are where doubt breeds. It matters, he says, slower now, and I can tell he's choosing each word. But it's not free. It never is. He hangs up. Later that afternoon, Daniel wakes. I'm not in the room when he opens his eyes. I hear it from the nurse quietly, like she's afraid her voice will scare the miracle away. I hover at the doorway and watch Emily lean forward, her face so close to his that their breaths almost touch. Daniel's eyes are glassy, confused, searching. He tries to speak around the tube, fails, grimaces, then looks at her like the question is already inside him. What happened to me? Emily takes his hand, and I see her thumb brush the ring once, twice like a code. You're here, she whispers. You're still here. Daniel blinks, tears gathering in the corners of his eyes, and he squeezes her fingers weakly as if to say, I'm trying. The nurse lowers her voice to me. He keeps touching his chest, she says, like he can feel something's different, because he can, even sedated, even fogged by pain meds. The body knows when its engine has been replaced. It knows the rhythm is familiar, but not his, not yet. There's an intimacy in that kind of foreignness that no one prepares you for. I should walk in. I should do my job. Explain the ICU course, the surgery, the next steps, immunosuppressants, infection risk, biopsies to watch for rejection, the long road. I should be a physician. But I'm also the person who looked into a grieving wife's eyes and told her what I would do. I'm the person who stood in front of a detective and refused to feed the story. I'm the person who watched a heart fail, then watched a different heart begin. I step in anyway. Daniel turns his eyes toward me, bloodshot, heavy-lidded, awake enough to hate the tube, not awake enough to understand what it means. I introduce myself like we've never met, because in a way we haven't. The man I met was dying. This one is new. How are you feeling? I ask, and the question is absurd, but it's the doorway we all use. He makes a frustrated sound, then points to his throat, then his chest. He looks at Emily and then back to me, and with 2 fingers he makes a small, trembling motion. Tell me. I look at Emily. Her face goes still. This is the moment she feared last night, the moment survival asks for its receipt. Your heart was failing. I tell him, keeping my voice steady, plain, not hiding behind jargon. You needed surgery. You needed a transplant. You made it through. Daniel stares at me. His eyes widen slightly, and for a second I see the police officer's mind kick in. Who? How? Why me? I feel the pressure of the system around us, the rules about privacy. The reasons those rules exist, the chaos they prevent. I feel the detective in the hallway, the administration upstairs, the news cycle circling like a vulture that smells blood even when it's not allowed inside the building. Daniel's eyes flick to Emily again. He squeezes her hand harder, as if asking her to anchor him to the truth. Emily's voice is a whisper. I chose you, she says, and tears spill before she can stop them. I chose you to live. Daniel closes his eyes. A tear slides down his temple into the pillow. He nods once small, exhausted, accepting not the details, but the love beneath them. And in that moment, I understand the scar this case leaves on me. It isn't the blood. It isn't the thoracotomy kit. It isn't the sound of ribs under compressions. It's the realization that ethics in the real world isn't a clean debate. It's a bedside conversation with a stopwatch running. It's a donor who never told his mother. It's a wife who has to separate forgiveness from survival. It's a doctor who has to carry the weight of what he said to get someone across a bridge they didn't want to cross. That night, on my drive home, the city looks normal: gas stations, billboards, kids waiting for a bus. The world is always normal for someone. I stop at a red light and rest my hand on my own chest, feeling my heart beat with its uncomplicated loyalty. I think about how easily we talk about hearts as symbols: love, courage, goodness, until we're forced to treat them as inventory. And I think about Daniel Keene lying in a hospital bed with a heart that belonged to the man who tried to erase him. We call it poetic justice when the universe flips a story on its head. But in the hospital, poetry is usually just another name for pain we manage to survive. The only dignity we can promise is this: we will keep showing up, even when the answers are ugly, because sometimes the most human thing a person can do is choose life, not because it's pure, but because it's still life.